The views and opinions expressed by the On the Spot with David Rodgers show are solely based on the show's hosts, guests, and viewers. We are solely responsible for all show content in its entirety and does not necessarily reflect the opinions of any sponsors in any way. These broadcasts are presented and made public by the On the Spot with David Rodgers team in the hope that it will be entertaining and informative to our viewers and listening audience.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, it's 7 o'clock and time for On the Spot with David Rodgers. And now, here he is, Mr. Friday Night, the show pony himself, the man, the dream, the legendary David Rodgers.
Good afternoon and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to On the Spot with David Rodgers, our first show back from last year. Gordon, you know it's been about 5 weeks, almost 6 weeks since we've done a show, but we took a little hiatus. We had some things going on, and now we're back in full force. And since we've been gone, there's, of course, a lot of things going on in Bradford County for sure. And one of the hot topics, of course, and why you're here tonight is because of the Stark Police Department no longer being a law enforcement agency per se, but you've got good news about that and some things that's going to be coming up. And I know a lot of people were concerned. I know we didn't get a chance to be at that meeting. I know there was some high tensions, of course, and we'll talk about that here as we get into it. But you're here to clear all that up, aren't you?
I am. I'm here to answer any question, how it came about, why we're there, where we're at, where we're going, moving forward, and kind of answer some and dispel some. I don't want to call them rumors. Sometimes it's mainly misinformation. Yeah. That they hear, somebody hears it. They're all concerned, and they have a right to be concerned. Yes. And they have a right to ask questions, and that's what I'm here for. And we'll get into that and when you're ready and we'll take off.
Yeah, and we will do that. Absolutely. So we're going to get the show started as we always do with our prayer, our pledge, and our patriotic quotes of the night. But I want to introduce everybody and why some people aren't here and why some aren't. So let's start with my producer, senior director and producer. He is the dancing destroyer himself. That's Mr. Dave Holland. He's behind the scenes. Say hello, David, to everybody.
Hello, everybody.
And welcome back.
And it's good to see Dave, I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's good to see Dave.
Good to see you guys.
Absolutely.
I'm going to try to talk him into a haircut after this thing.
I think you may have.
He done got all
I done got, man, how about that?
Yeah,
and we'll talk about that. Yeah, I've lost 50 pounds over the last
Man, you look good, brother.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. I feel better.
Hair. I mean, you still got a head full, but it's
but it's short.
I'm jealous.
Yeah, I hear you. Hey, we got Austin in the house tonight. He's been on a little bit of hiatus as well. He's had some things to take care of, but he's fixing to bring the weather to you. No Byron Bagwell tonight because Mr. Bagwell has a work commitment, so he won't be able to be here tonight, but I know he's watching and he'll be watching. And, of course, our other partner, Mr. Mitchell Gunner, who runs the On the Spot Motorsports media page. You can catch his show on Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. He's always got some good guests, always got some great shows. Love his background back there, Dave, where he does it in his studio. Got all them cars and all them signs. So if you're into motorsports, that's where you want to go on Thursday nights at Okay, we're good now.
Can you hear us
now?
now?
I got you. Can you hear us now? Can you hear me now? All right. Well, we just had a great prayer by the sheriff. We just had the pledge, and now we're getting ready to go into our patriotic quotes of the night. So, rather fail with honor than succeed by fraud. I'll give you a hint. He was around 406 BC before Christ, was a Greek tragedian and playwright. So who could that be, David and Gordon and you guys? Yep. Around 406 BC.
Well, that was really before I was born, but...
Well, actually, I was back there at that time, so, I know the guy. Well, I know him.
Aristotle?
That's a good guess.
Plato?
Damn.
Austin?
Pass.
Pass. Okay. So let's see if anybody's got it here, and then we'll go over the comments. All right. Yeah, I can hear you now. Sam J.O. sound is back, Dave Holland Jr. said. All right. Does anybody have a guess online here before I give out the answer? Okay. Well, I'm going to give it to you anyway. It's Sophocles. Sophocles. 406 BC, playwright. He said, rather fail with honor than succeed by fraud. He nailed it back then. He nailed it back then, didn't he?
True today.
Yeah, boy. Have you ever noticed some of these quotes and some of the things that we say and some of the things that our founding fathers, and even like you said, some of these philosophers and things like that, and it's true to this day, as the sheriff just said. That is crazy. Back in 406 BC, and that was before Christ. Can you imagine him saying that? And look what's coming to fruition today. Amazing. All right, I've got one more. One of the most cowardly things ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to facts. This guy was a British writer and a literary scholar. One of the most cowardly things ordinary people do is to shut their eyes to facts. And we're doing a lot of that today, right now. You know, we just close our eyes and don't get the facts, and it just blows right by us.
Everybody's right.
Everybody's right, yeah, and that's exactly right. So let's see. Good guess, guys, but nope, that was Sophocles.
Back after a vacation.
Back after vacation, TD. Okay, we're back. All right, so Saturday, February 3rd at 5 p.m. till we've got the the North Florida Chamber of Commerce banquet that goes to all the proceeds and everything that we raise from that with the auction and all those things, the selling of the candy bars, the entry fees. They're going get a table. They're going to the North Florida Educational Foundation, and that is a great cause. Of course, our children that are coming up through our school districts now, they're our future for me and you. You know, I'm no spring chicken anymore.
I'm 14 in my life.
Yeah, hey, I'm 1,406 years old. So, you know, that's I need them to help me out a little bit. That's a long time, ain't it, Dave?
That's old.
Yeah, but we're going to have a good time. They're going to have a band. Gordon's going to be there with his people. We're going to get a table, Dave. I just talked to Shirley about that. Yeah. We're going to get a table. We're going to be there. That is the big event that happens around here, Gordon, and that's for sure. You know, we can meet and talk to people that we don't see all the time.
You don't see them all the time, but you get to meet some of the business people. You didn't know who owned what business.
Right.
It really gathers the local community from Union, the south end of Clay County, those businesses, and they come together.
Yep, that's exactly right. So those are some things upcoming right here. Just want to go over some things that's going on at Bradford High School. Grade level assemblies will be on Thursday to discuss graduation requirements and scheduling for next year. In first period, the 9th graders will go. Second period, the seniors will go. Third period, the juniors, the 11th graders will go. And fourth period, the 10th graders, our sophomores, will go. NHS, which stands for National Honor Society, induction for 10th grade students will be Monday, January 29th, this coming Monday, in the BHS auditorium at 6 p.m. Students will receive their invitations by email only on January 24th. No jeans or shorts for these inductees. And they shouldn't. They should dress up for something like that.
That's very honorable.
That's very honorable. I was never smart enough to be in there. How about you?
I couldn't spell it.
NHS, you can. Attention, our 5-star program has accepted applications for the 2024-2025 5-star program. Get you an application. They are due March the 1st. And by the way, your son-in-law does a good job of putting this out. This is where I get this from. He does a good job. He don't tell you nothing, does he?
Tell me nothing.
Yeah, he just sends it to Shelley, and she expects me to read it. Any students with at least 90% ADA, no tardies, no referrals, from January the 15th to February 15th will get to participate in the hot chocolate bar. David, didn't you tell me you was going to go get some hot chocolate from there? So is Gordon and myself. We're invited too. Yeah, we're going to get some hot chocolate.
I was never invited to a hot chocolate bar.
Well, you're invited now.
There you go.
Tutoring continues on Tuesdays and Thursdays in the library from 3:45 to 4:45. I've had some students come up to me, Gordon, and say, hey, you know, I'm struggling with my algebra. I'm struggling with geometry. I'm struggling with some. Man, you can go get some tutoring.
You can. And that's, they've done a bunch in our school system, really step up as it's showing now. What's going on in our school system. Been around it my whole life. Been as far north as Lawdy, far south as Waldo. I've seen most of the world. But what's going on?
So
right
you've
now
been to
is
two big metropolises of Bradford County?
I have. I figure. I've seen. Look, I've seen most of the world. At least the most important parts.
There you go. Somebody told me that the Burj Khalifa was in Waldo.
It is.
It is? Okay. Just making sure. Okay. The Tornado Engineering Club through the University of Florida meets in room 306 on Wednesdays after school. New members are welcome. The yearbook price. Man, you need to get your yearbooks. Gordon, I wish I'd have saved all mine. Now I'm having to go back and try to get them 40 years later. Yeah,
tough.
it is. You need to get them at $85, and it's going to go up on February 28th. You better get your $85 yearbook right now. They have 6 grab bash spots still available. The final payment of $50 is due to March the 1st. Student tickets will be invalidated if they exceed 7 unexcused absences from the start of the school year, which was August, to March. Refunds cannot be issued. So you better be on your good behavior, or you're not going to the grab bash if you've already paid for it.
Boy, you
hey,
ain't lying.
would mom and dad be mad? Oh, yeah. Could you imagine some kid explaining
Hey.
that? I can't go because
You know how mean my mama was. You'd make sure.
you make sure that you did good. That's for sure, especially if you signed up for something like that. Prom tickets are on sale. Austin told me he was going to the prom this year.
No.
Prom tickets are on sale for $110. Guests are $100. And seniors who bought a ticket last year, man, you can't beat the price, David, $25. How about
There
that?
you go.
Students cannot have more, again, than 7 unexcused absences from August to March, or their ticket will be invalidated. All ticket sales are non-refundable. Guest forms are now available in the front office. Can you imagine your mom and your dad, you telling them, hey, they paid for prom and everything, bought your suit, bought your dress, bought your gown or whatever. I can't go because I've been bad. Oh, boy, that would not resonate. Like he said, his mama would have tore him up.
Hey, I still showed up, picked up my date like I was going to the prom.
There,
No ideas out there, y'all. No ideas.
Yeah, no ideas. Don't go. Yeah, you're cordially invited to our football and cheer banquets for BMS and BHS. If you've been living under a rock, you know that the BMS football team had an outstanding season. They won their championship, and we went to the state championship and almost won that game. So great things going on with BMS and BHS football and cheer. All events held at the Bradford Elementary School. Tickets must be purchased on GoFan to attend. So that's gofan.co. BHS Varsity and JV Cheer Banquet is on February 16th, 2024 at 6 p.m. That's BHS Varsity and JV Cheer Banquet. BHS Varsity and JV Football Banquet, February 17th at 6 p.m. And BMS and Cheer Banquet, February the 18th. My goodness, man. All those notifications, man. I hate it. BMS Football and Cheer Banquet, February 18th at 4 p.m. I talked about the prom. The class of 2025 is holding it. It's called the Masquerade Ball. Junior and senior prom, March the 23rd at 7 p.m. It's going to be at the Thrasher Horn Center, 283 College Drive, Orange Park, Florida, 32065. And I told you about the absences. Your ticket will be invalidated. Explain that one to your mom and dad. All right, this week's events, Gordon, as far as athletics, if you want to go to an event, basketball, boys or girls, weightlifting, cheer tryouts or cheer competitions, you need to go to this link, gofan.co. There will not be cash ticket sales at any athletic events outside of football, which football is over right now. Please remember the clear bag policy for all these events. So if you're bringing some stuff in, make sure you got a clear bag. The boys basketball team played Monday at Middleburg. They're at home tonight, Gordon, and then they'll be at First Coast on Saturday. All those games start at 7 p.m. The girls basketball team plays at Dunellen last night, actually, and at home on Thursday. Girls weightlifting travels to districts this Friday. Good luck to you guys there. We need some state qualifiers, and I hope the whole team qualifies for state so we can win another one of those. Comp cheer, or the cheer team, travels to regionals this Friday. Good luck there. They're good, man. I don't know if you've seen them.
They're good.
They're good. So make sure you go and support those guys. We love each and every one of those young men and women. Okay, you know the reminders. I ain't got to go over that. You know about the cell phone policy, and we'll move on from there. So just make sure you're doing the right thing. More information to follow. We'll keep doing these updates and more events from the Chamber of Commerce as those dates get closer. I'm going to bring in, Dave, do we want to take a commercial break before we bring Austin in, or do we want to go ahead and bring him in?
Let's go ahead and get a...
You want to get a commercial in?
Yeah, let me...
All right.
For one.
We'll be right back with Austin's weather and his update as soon as we take these commercial breaks. Here we are, back with the show here on the spot with David Rodgers. I'm your host, David Rodgers. My special guest tonight, Sheriff Gordon Smith. We'll talk about what he's got upcoming here in just a few minutes. But right now, I'm going to bring in the weather guru himself. He is not only our weather guy, but I've got to commend him. He also keeps up with our YouTube. Do you know how many shows we got on YouTube, by the way? A rough guesstimate. You don't have to give me an exact.
We're approaching 300. I'll have it towards the end of the show.
So we're approaching 300 on YouTube, right?
If we keep it up, we'll be at past 300 before spring.
Before spring, okay. So we'll be
If
over 300.
we keep it up between now and the first week of spring.
As long as we do a show each and every Tuesday from there till.
Yep.
Okay, sounds good. He's also our YouTube guy. So once this show is done and completed, he takes this and downloads it to YouTube and puts it on YouTube. And then you, people that don't have Facebook, I got some guys at work said, David, I can't watch a show because I don't have Facebook.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Hey, you can watch it the following night if everything goes right when he does this.
Which we got at upgraded speed.
Yes. So once that is downloaded, you can go back and watch it on YouTube. But right now, we're going to concentrate on the weather, bringing in our weather guru, Mr. Austin Stevens. Welcome back. What do you have for weather for us, sir? Please tell me it's not COLD.
Oh, you mean like when you text
Weather
me
service
a
on
few days
Facebook
ago telling me
and
to
have
turn
a
off the air conditioner?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did that. Hey, at least
no,
you
you
weren't.
did.
This weather report brought to you by Austin's Weather.
But at least you weren't near Nashville, Tennessee.
This
We
weather
got
report-
10 inches of snow, and it wasn't the wet snow. It was that white, fluffy, good snow that you would can go skating in. But where my family used to live, just an hour south of Nashville, it went down to minus 13 Wednesday morning. Minus 13 degrees Fahrenheit.
I
That's
don't
not-
even hear what you're saying because I can't even fathom those numbers.
That's not even wind chill. But back at home, we were about 32 degrees with a wind chill in the upper teens to lower 20s. But hey, I got good news. You can turn off the heaters now because it's gone for a while.
Good.
We will have a cold front this weekend coming up. But in between then and now, I wouldn't be surprised if Gainesville pops 85.
Whoo!
We
Okay.
go from one end to the next. We go from Furnace
That's why
this
people get
Sunday
sick.
Yep.
to at the beach in North Jacks. You go from Furnace one morning all the way to air conditioning the next by Friday because a high of 81. Now, if we go on I-10 from Jacksonville, we go all the way to Pascagoula, Mississippi.
Yep.
Sorry, hate to rain on your parade, but it's going to rain. There's a 60 to 70% chance.
Are you listening to Renee Stigall? That's
with a
what's going to
one-
happen.
With a 1 to 3 inches of rain, and don't share it, please.
Okay.
But the further west you go to Houston, Texas,
Ooh.
if you portion of Louisiana could get up to 7 inches of rain according to computer models. So they go from snow event and freezing cold to the opposite end in rain. But hey, they won't see the 80s like we will. Now, if you go up I-75, we go back to Florida, then go back up I-75 to Atlanta, Georgia. Guess what?
What?
They're going to get hit with rain.
Oh,
Half
boy.
an inch to an inch of rain over the next week or so.
All I hear is
no
rain,
snow,
rain.
no freezing rain, and North Carolina still hasn't got their snow yet either. In
Okay.
Raleigh, Greensboro, the only places.
Is that going to be mild conditions? Also, I didn't mean to interrupt you. Is that going to be some mild conditions in North Carolina?
compared to what hit? it's going to be mild, but I'm going to put out a bold statement here, and I keep seeing a lot of people in the weather community say this. The mountains in North Carolina and Tennessee affect the weather patterns on the East Coast.
I'll buy that.
It stopped that cold from going from Tennessee over the mountains. The mountains stopped it from spilling into North Carolina. And if that cold air would have went further south across Louisiana and went southeast towards Florida, we would have been screwed. We would have been in the mid-teens.
Ooh.
We would be record-breaking, setting cold.
I'm glad it didn't either, boy. My goodness.
It curved up and hit the mountains.
You can, Austin, go ahead and plug yourself. Where can they follow you at, son?
We mainly post for, now we started doing the southeast when we have cold Arctic outbreaks, but we mainly post for North Florida, Northeast Florida, and North Central Florida at facebook.com/Austin's Weather Service.
Good deal. Thank you, Austin, for that weather report. Absolutely. And we'll try to come back to you here in just a little bit. It's 7:25 Eastern Time, local here in Florida. Say what now?
The East Coast.
East Coast, that's right. East Coast, Southeast, right here is where we're at. My name is David Rodgers. I'm your host, along with Dave Holland, the Dancing Destroyer himself, directing and supervising the show. You just heard Austin Stevens. And our special guest tonight is our very own Bradford County Sheriff Gordon Smith. No Byron Bagwell tonight, as he had a work-related deal that he needed to take care of. And that's okay, because, hey, got to have money to live on and to eat, right?
Amen.
So last time I checked, Gordon, even though I've lost this weight, I still like to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Do you like to eat?
Every day.
Every day, hey.
3 or 4 or 5 times.
Everybody says, what are you eating? And I'm like, whatever I can get a hold of. Hey, that could be a Nutty Crunchy bar. Hey, to a shrimp dinner. It doesn't matter. Hey, I'm eating good, Dave. You know that.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm taking my medicine. I'm taking my stuff. So I'm trying to do the right thing, but I ain't going to let nobody tell me I can't eat this or that.
Hey, I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm a big old boy. I like to eat.
There you go. Again, I want to welcome all you guys to our first show of the year. About a 5 to 6 week. Hiatus, and then all of a sudden we got some. Are we back, Dave? Yeah. Okay, we're back. So it's just intermittent here and there, but hey, let us know if you can't hear it. Dave's trying to do everything that he can over there to try to keep up with everything. Just let us know, and of course we'll let him know. But anyway, I'll read some comments and then we'll get into that. Dwight Allen, good evening, fellow Patriots. Glad to see y'all back on the air. Thank you very much, Dwight. We're glad to be back on the air.
Amen.
Miss Shirley Bagwell, Byron's mama, said, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you, Shirley and Donnie. Dwight Allen says, good evening, Sheriff Gordon Smith, Bradford County Sheriff.
That's right.
There you go. Mark Goody, thank you. Dwight Allen, need a haircut myself. I'll come see you, Mr. Holland. So Dwight Allen needs a haircut. Sam Shealstott said, good evening, gentlemen. Good evening to you. We got the sound. We've had a couple of little issues with the sound, but I think we're back. Teresa Ray Prescott, thank you for joining us. Dave Holland Jr., thank you for joining us. Patrick Henry, thank you for joining us. Chris Davis, owner of the Barnyard Diner. Make sure you go down there and see Chris.
Some good food.
Oh, sure, the best. Make sure you go down there and see Chris. He's got daily specials. He's got the menu wide open. Him and Casey running that thing. Go down there and see him. Hey, make that 7 mile or 8 mile
Support
drive
your
from
local
start.
restaurants.
Yeah, I don't care if it's in Laurie or not, Gordon. Man, make the drive over there.
You got to support your local people.
Yeah, you do. He does a lot for the community too out there. You know some of the things that he's done.
Oh, he's
and
done a
that
ton.
him and Casey's
That-
done.
In the Lodi community, he's always out there.
Yes, he is.
He's tried to change up things to accommodate. And,
Yep.
And finally getting, I think he's got a well mix there now.
Yeah, he does.
Offers it at a great price. It's a great social atmosphere. I
Yep.
go there and get to see the community and the people in it that are working.
Yep.
That makes a difference.
Yep, that's exactly right. And John Mercier, or Mercier, I guess it would be, he's on. Annette Dixon's on. Robert McGee's on. Let's see. Let's see if anybody else new is on here. Sounds gone again. Okay, no, I think we got it back. Teresa Ray Prescott is on. Listen to this. I don't know if she's still on. Let's say hello to Miss Kat Kamick.
Oh, hey.
She's watching,
Our
man.
congresswoman, man.
Our
Good
congresswoman,
stuff.
man.
She always stays tuned to what's going on locally. I promise
Yes,
you.
I promise you.
She stays in touch with what's going on in all her communities that she represents, and she reaches out all the time.
Yes, she does. And I tell you, what a great lady, what a great person
Never
we
had
have
another
up there.
person do that.
Hey, no. And I'm going to tell you something right now. She will poke the bear.
She ain't scared.
She ain't scared. She ain't scared. And she'll poke the bear. And maybe we can get David. Let's see if we can reach out and see if we can get Kat Kamick on as our guest one day. Maybe when she's here, or get her live on video.
Oh.
She's always a great guest, man. And like
She's
Gordon
got
says,
the time she'd come
Yeah.
on. I know she would.
oh, I know she would. Absolutely, she loves us. We love her.
Exactly.
So, Kat Kamick, if you're watching or any of her people are watching, absolutely love to have you. Let's see who else. Oh, David Roden's on. Oh, Dwight Allen said, good evening, Kat Kamick. Gordon hit in that Coke bottle mighty hard. What do you got in there? David Roden said. What'd you put in there?
Right now, it's only Coke. Sad to say, but
Patrick Henry said Diet Coke. Yeah, straight Diet Coke.
fat guys have to drink that.
Yeah. I was just going to have to drink Coke Zero. I'm fatter. I was fatter than you, I think. But anyway, you're not fat, man. You're skinny. Anyway, Byron Bagwell says, good evening, brothers, sisters, patriots, infidels, and miscreants. How about that?
Yes.
Shirley Bagwell said, sorry, no cake tonight. Been out of town. I got you, Shirley. That's okay. I know Gordon was coming on, and he would have loved to have some of that cake.
Sure would have been nice.
Boy, sure would have. But I'll tell you, we're going to give you a pass on this
Slice
one.
of cake with that Diet Coke. Yeah.
That would have been good. Michelle Crawford Nugent, Byron Bagwell, you forgot deplorables. Well, there you go. But thank you for joining us, Michelle. We're talking about the sound. Byron Bagwell, no, David, you don't like to eat. You love to eat. Well, he's got a point there. John Mercier is back. Let's see if Liz Tillery Holland. Poor Dave Jr. goes from hot in the living room because he freezes to the morgue in our room because of my hot flashes. Poor guy. Well, hey, that's TMI. I don't, okay. Melissa Cribbs is joining us. Good evening to you. Yeah, you did try to feed me, Chris. I called you. I couldn't get on my peeps in line to get an order. I would really have loved, he had chili yesterday. I would have loved to have tasted that chili. I bet that was out of this world. Sorry, brother. I know you did. Hey, I'm going to put it out there. It was my fault because me and Shelly couldn't get all our peeps in line. So we'll do that another time. Mitchell Gunner, good afternoon, brother. Giving you that plug on the Spot Motorsports Media. Of course, you got a show on Thursday, and then, of course, you streaming the races here. Let's see. Casey is the owner. I'm only a cook. She demoted me. Oh! Well, how about that? Talk a little bit about the chamber banquet. We'll do that. Raymond Roden, my man, what's going on? Say hello to Raymond.
Big Raymond. Railroad's what I call it. Raymond Road. That's a railroad.
Yeah, there you go.
My brother.
Drew Mullins is on. Andy and Jenny Redding is on. Yeah. Gary Wallace is on. Glad we're back. I'll have you covered with Kat, Mitchell said. Absolutely. Patricia Baker, hello to you. And Mr. Robert McGee again. They're on. Welcome in to On the Spot with David Rodgers. We're at 7:33 Eastern Time. PM, not AM. If you're in Africa, it may be in AM, but that's okay because there's a 5-hour difference, so it would be 12:33 there. So if you're watching from over there, well, guess what?
The United Kingdom, it's 12:33.
Is it 5 hours back there as well?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so 12:33.
12:33 a.m.
Yep. And if you're in the Caribbean, you're an hour back, I think, right, or an hour ahead. If you're in the Caribbean, are you an hour ahead or an hour back?
Hour ahead.
Okay, so it's 8:33 in the Caribbean, right?
Yeah.
Okay, good. All right, so that'd be Jimmy Langley in the Bahamas.
Hey Siri, what time?
Yep.
So there you go. All right. Well, we're fixing to get in. Jason Dodge, thank you for joining us
It's
as
the
well.
same time as Bahamas.
Okay. All right. So we're getting ready to get into some things that's been going on here in Bradford County. I've told you some upcoming events and things like that. But of course, we have to talk about the things that has happened in this community, and as Sheriff Gordon Smith said, that affects people in this community. And he's right. When me and him talked this past weekend, they needed no answers. And Gordon is going to do the best that he can to give you those answers. He's going to explain what happened as far as the Stark Police Department. We'll say this. I'm going to mediate. I'm going to be looking at questions. I do want to say this. If it's distasteful, I'm not going to read it. I'm going to bypass it now. This is a question and answer period. He's a professional. He's trying to do a professional job to explain what's going on. But I will not put up with any kind of crap, shenanigans, as Byron would call. We're just gonna bypass those questions. If you got a legitimate question, please feel free to ask Gordon. He will answer it. I will read them off, and then we'll go from there. So I'm gonna turn the floor over to Sheriff Gordon Smith. Gordon, I know that a lot of people are upset. Some people don't understand exactly what went on, but as of March the 1st, the Stark Police Department will no longer be. It's going to be covered by your department, the sheriff's office. And I want to preface this, and me and Gordon talked about this a little bit too. This just is not happening in Bradford County. This is small town USA. This is happening everywhere. There's budget cuts here that you got to do this, you got to do that to maintain the budgets and to be able to operate your small towns, your counties, things like that. So this is just not only a Bradford County problem. This is a small town America, and even in bigger cities. Jacksonville's got their problems. Gainesville's got their problems. Chicago's got their problems. San Francisco, everybody's got their problems. So it's just not us. It's everybody is dealing with this in some sort of fashion or another. And Gordon agreed, and we talked about that. You know, it is what it is. And now we have to move forward, Gordon, and figure out how we can, what you're going to explain, maintain coverage, make everybody happy in this whole ordeal that's happened. Yeah. And you're going to explain that. So, again, if you have a question, no problem. I'll read it if it's tasteful and if it applies. If not, I'm going to bypass the question, and I'm sorry about that. I know it's probably going to make you mad, but I'm just not going to read any garbage or shenanigans that's going to be on the air, Gordon.
Yeah,
I already told you.
Like I say, if they got a question later, they're more to reach out to me anytime in regards to it. I guess we start back from the beginning. I was the police chief for many years, as you know,
right.
up until 2008. I won the sheriff's election and took over.
Yes.
And I want to start out by saying that everybody knows that myself and Chief Johnson are not only work partners.
Y'all are brothers.
We're brothers. We go way back to childhood.
Yep.
You know, his mama raised 3 boys. My mama raised 4 boys. We went to the police academy together. We've been in the business. He was my assistant chief when I was the chief. So that the friendship goes way back. And he has spent his entire adult life serving the city of Stark.
Yep.
That's what Chief Johnson's done. He sacrificed. His kids and my kids have grown up together. Our grandkids are growing up together. We spend a lot of time together. We have the same social circles. So I don't, in any way is this a dish toward him. Right. I want people to understand that. That has anything to do with mine and him and our friendship. This came down to back when I first became sheriff in 2009, people were looking at ways of solving. Because you look at the Florida police chiefs, and I reached out to them, and over the last 10 years, there's been more than 30 cities in the state of Florida that have been absorbed by sheriff's office or disbanded, one or the other. Because there's 2 things can happen when you do this, and we'll get into that. But first, so then we go from 2009, we get it, we prep it, we put it on the table. It was a 3-2 vote, one commission meeting, the next meeting went 2-3. It was back and forth, and then we just kind of move forward. Because at the end of the day, the city police officer and deputy sheriff work hand in hand each and every day. You leave the politicians out, it works smoothly. We assisted each other. We go back and forth, the call volume, and I want people to know we already have the same records management. We have the combined communications. So the communication center dispatches fire, police, rescue, the city after-hour utility calls. We handle all the calls there. Our records management, it's all the same reporting. So we all have the same data, the same stuff in our cars, the same walkie-talkies, the same communications. All that is all the same already.
Right.
Other than the stripe on the car, the color of their uniform where to get the check, everything was essentially the same.
Right.
We move forward. The city asked me to come, and they'll tell you that when they did it back in April or May for us to do a presentation, what it would cost, they were looking at budgetary items. No different than the county commission, looking at ways to fund our fire rescue. They're cutting back money they've donated to other charities. They're just looking at ways to save without having to raise taxes.
Right.
essentially, or pass another surcharge or something along those lines. So in doing that, they asked me to do a proposal. I did it. I wrapped it. I presented it. Pretty much the same thing that I presented back in. The numbers were a little different financially. Right. But as Corporal Warren, he says, that's almost verbatim what you said in 2009. I said, well, it hadn't changed. Really what we can do, the same basic boots on the ground hasn't changed. They voted at that time to not merge, but they did cut the police department. And, and that night I told them more than twice, if you go back and look, a decision needs to be made tonight because it's not fair to the chief. And it's not fair to the men and women. Need to be made a decision. Well, commissioners, a lot of them, they vote with their heart.
Right.
Sometimes it was hard that some of them had to make that hard because Chief Johnson's their friend as well. We all live here together, and it was difficult, and they voted. Now, from that date moving forward, I was sitting in my office, and I got a call from the city manager who told me that the night before, whatever took place at the city commission meeting, that there was a vote, a 3-1 vote, because I guess one commissioner was gone, because they know me. I'm not going to present it if I don't. This is not the sheriff looking for anything. We operate well. Cooperation is as good as consolidation. Right. So we did that, and they said, look, we got to look at something. Can you tell us what it's going to cost?
Right.
I said, so we sat down and we did the math. I told them a figure, and they said, can you give it to us in an interlocal agreement? We got with our attorney, our general counsel, Jack Jordan. He's done many throughout the state of Florida. He said, here's some, what do you want? We looked at it, what would work for us, what would work for them, what would it take? Because what the city manager had relayed to me was that the commissioner was concerned about making sure, and here's one of the things I want to tell you. People say, well, we already pay county taxes. You do. But there's an added millage in the city for additional services. Water, sewer, street department, fire department, all those things, the citizens pay that additional millage for additional services.
Right.
So that's what they want to be sure. They said, we want to know what it will take to guarantee that we have the same service we have now. Now, we know you can do it cheaper, but is it going to be the same service? I said, well, probably not. I mean, the county's going to have to absorb that over a period of a couple of years to give you the same coverage. It wouldn't be right away. So that's the reason a lot of cities, I'll give you, like Hampton. Hampton, we took over Hampton, and then Hampton pays us an additional $1,500 a month to have officers there 12 additional days at 4 hours each one of those days for different things. So they pay an additional because they want not only what we give, they wanted that additional.
Right.
And they pay for that. City of Brooker, same way. So they look at different ideas to come up with, and they said, we want an honest price, what it will cost to give us 2 deputies inside the city, giving us the same coverage we have now. That's what essentially the city was doing.
Right.
Well, they'd already cut the police department down. There's 11, the chief and 11 officers.
Right.
In regards to it. We looked at what we could do in our resources and how we deploy and do our zoning, and we're changing that zoning up in regards to it with a supervisor and 3 deputies out at night. And then we have a swing officer that comes in during certain hours, and we said, we got enough, we can do it for this price. And we gave them the price, transparency of $650,000.
Right.
Okay. So that's what we presented. Their attorney looked over it. They can tell you that every suggestion that their city attorney made, I agreed to. We took some on the chin. It's like anything. We work out. It's negotiating. And I really didn't. I said, look, I'm smart enough to know as the sheriff, if they say no police department tonight, I'm responsible anyway.
Right.
But if they wanted that additional coverage, and that's what the city manager relayed to me, these commissioners are worried to make sure that our citizens get the same coverage. And how are we going to guarantee that? So that's what we came up with. They're giving us some vehicles, so we don't have to buy vehicles.
Right.
They got some nicer vehicles. We were striping. We got to put some. They didn't have mobile radios.
Right.
They had portables.
Right.
So we've actually worked a deal out with CSX Railroad that's on the same radio system as we use, the 800 megahertz. They donated to us. We're getting them programmed. Matter of fact, when I go to the sheriff's conference this weekend, I'm taking some, dropping them off in Tallahassee. They're going to program them, and they're going to donate the programming to us so we can install those in those vehicles to get everything up and going. Their weapons were different than our weapons.
Right.
But we're going to take those and then trade and get them out the weapons that we need. And we got a company that's willing to give us up front what we got. So that's working out some of that transition. So other than uniform call, striping the cars, getting them to what we do, so we use a different body camera, in-car camera.
Correct.
Our body cameras sync with our in-car cameras.
Right.
It's high tech, and they automatically download, and they're tamper resistant, so the officers can't alter or change.
Right.
and that's for evidentiary purposes that they can't be tinkered with. So for court purposes, so there's a little bit of cost involved in that. We sent them the price. Their attorney sent back several changes through the city commission. Working through that, we did it. Another thing I've seen out there, people say, well, it's going to cost us an additional 2% or an additional 2%. That's not true. The approximately 4.5 mills that the city collected already, tax-wise,
Right.
did not cover the cost of just the police department. Remember, the millage is for additional services: fire, police,
Police,
streets, roads,
right.
maintenance, the whole 9 yards.
It's everybody. It's
But
just
over
not
the years, because not the fault of this commission, of the city
Right.
commission, things just hadn't changed over the years, and nobody wants to increase people's taxes.
Right.
Well, the cost of doing business has changed. You know, like when people say, well, you're back when Sheriff Ruddish was the sheriff, they did it for this. I said, yeah, the newspaper was 5 cents.
Yeah.
You know, when I bought the newspaper.
Yeah.
The cost of ink, the cost of everything doing business.
Gallon of milk was
Since I've been
$1.49.
since I've been the sheriff, going on my 16th year,
Right.
the cost of a vehicle that we buy on state contract has increased 40%.
See, exactly.
40%. That's before you put any lights or anything. That's just the cost. So we did that. So now they've locked it in, and what we did is that 650 locks in. It goes to whatever they collect in 2.5 of the 4.5 mills.
Right.
So if it goes down next year, guess what? We get less.
We get less.
If it increases, then we get a little more. It's never been some large sum increase from year to year, but we tied it to the millage.
Right.
In regards to it, so that there wasn't somebody saying, well, the sheriff's going to lowball this year and he's going to up the ante next year.
Right.
I don't want to negotiate it every year. I don't
Right.
want to be the bad guy. So they said the best way to do it was set it on millage. So we set it on millage. So now the city's got that additional 2 mills that they can put toward fire, they can put toward streets, infrastructure of whatever that they're trying to build the city to bring things here. That water and sewer is vital to these businesses.
Right.
So they're trying to focus some of that there. They cut the fire department in half. They had already cut the police department in half. There's some hard decisions, and it's easy to talk about what you do until you sit up there in that seat, because you have to vote, and you're being held. You make the state can hold you liable.
Liable. Right.
But they represent the citizens, and it's tough sometimes. A lot of times we vote with our heart instead of our brain.
Right.
And I think in the past it's always been, but this has always been an issue since when I first started here 37 years ago, whether it was Chief Bowen, Chief Epps, you know, the different, when I was chief, that issue rose.
Right.
That's always been an issue that they could always kind of swing over the chief's head.
Yeah.
Let's be honest.
All right. I got you.
And it just got to a point that it had been cut so much, they said, we want the same service. And we wanted to do that because I'm smart enough to know that 3 of the largest precincts in the county
Yeah.
come to the city of Stark. Stark is my heart.
Right.
I served this city. I was elected by this city.
Yep.
I served here. And I promise you, it is my goal. We will not fail. We will do whatever it takes to get the job done because the citizens of the city of Stark deserve the same service as a citizen in a county.
Right.
We're all one. We are Bradford County.
And see, I think, and Gordon, you bring up a great point there because I know the people that live within the city limits are going, my gosh, I'm so used to the Stark Police Department, so used to the Stark Fire Department, rescue services, whatever the case may be, and they know when they, when they call that it's just a couple of minutes to get there. You know what I mean? And I think people are going, what you just said, and you talked about service, is it still going to be the same? Is it going to, well, I think you just explained it right there.
I'll give a couple examples. Say, well, when the deputies need help out in the county, the deputies are going to leave the city to go out there. Well, I can tell you in 2003, that happened 67 times. The city Stark Police Department left to go back up a deputy. Now, let's reverse that on the other hand. 278 times deputies responded in the city to back up the city. If they both get to a shoplifting call with somebody resistant, 2 on duty, and a call comes out, a deputy takes the call.
Right.
We average daily 8 calls a day inside the city now.
Right.
Okay, and they're averaging 7-point-something calls for service a day in the city now. That's less than 2 calls per deputy more per shift. So when we talk response times, if the 2 deputies are assigned in the city,
Yeah.
they're still going to be there like you would you have your 2 city officers. Nothing's going to change in how we handle the calls because if them 2 deputies are dealing with an irate or domestic disturbance or whatever it may be, a bad traffic stop, and a call comes out, somebody's got to answer it. We do that now.
Right.
And guess what? If a gunfight goes out in the county or a bad wreck goes out in the county, it's nothing different than what happens now.
Now.
So, because by law, when somebody calls for assistance, guess what you get? That's in law. That's statutorily. So there's no, and that's never been an issue because the city and county police, you leave the politicians out, have always worked cooperatively. I can tell you that Chief Johnson and I, in the last 15 years, maybe twice have had to talk about an issue that arose between, a deputy being arrogant to a police officer, or a police officer being.
Right.
That's personalities because we're in the people business.
That's right.
You get some of that. And the difference is, look, Chief Johnson spent his life serving this city.
Absolutely.
I've spent my life serving the city and the entire
the
county.
county.
Well, when you say, basically, Chief Johnson's done the same thing because anybody that lives in this county goes in the city of Stark.
Right.
So it was personal, I'm sure. And we're working, but I can tell you this. Since that next morning we got together, Chief Johnson and I have been working together. He wants to make sure his people have jobs. He wants to make sure the transition is smooth.
Right.
He wants to work together because he is still the elected police chief.
Yes. Yes.
Now, there's some things that they'll have to make down the road, but as of right now, he's the elected police chief for the city of Stark. His heart is still Stark.
For sure.
So I don't lay any less on him. He's committed. It was hard for him. I felt for him. He's my friend.
Yep.
We hugged each other's neck. I mean, it's tough for him. But you know what? At the end of the day, he still does the right thing. That's the will of his commission. That the city of Stark was elected police chief, but it says he shall take his orders from the mayor and the commission.
Right.
It's kind of a weird,
It's kind of
antiquated system.
Yeah.
Even though he's elected by the people, the charter says he shall take his orders from the mayor, which is it's difficult. Sometimes that comes into conflict.
Right.
And if the mayor won't do it, then it says the commission. It's really archaic in a lot of ways, but it's still an ordinance in a charter amendment in the city of Stark. That's how it was set up, and it takes a vote of the people to change that. I get that. But at the end of the day, the police officers work for the commission and are appointed by the commission. So it really put it in the thing, and at the end of the day, talking with all five commissioners now, one still don't like it, and that's a personal feeling to him. 4 others, it was tough for them. I've spoke to them at length. Their main concern was the city of Stark, to make sure that they said, look, if it costs us more, you tell us it costs us more.
Right.
We're willing to set down a cost to make sure we get the same. Because when I gave them the low figure of $300,000 before, they say, well, we don't care about that. We know you can cover it, but we want the added benefit. What would it really take to give us the same thing that Chief Johnson's people have been giving us now? And that's, I put the number out there. We've cost what it costs for officers and deputies, as you know, make a little more money.
That's right.
In the state retirement, those kind of things. So our cost per off, what they call FTE, full-time equivalent, is a little more than his. So they said, tell us what it cost. And that's where we're at. That's what we've done. And we're moving forward. And Chief Johnson and I, we talk each other day, make sure, hey, is this working smooth? Evidence has got to be gone through. We got Florida Department of Law Enforcement come in and do the evidence room for us. To dispose a lot of that, we got to count for every weapon, every vehicle. That's not an easy task, y'all. This transition is hours in the making.
Right.
And Chief Johnson's been there right there with me, making sure, hey, and he told his people with me there present, you work for the city of Stark until the day you leave here, you give them the same service. I was there when he talked to his people.
Right.
So he's committed in regards to it because he loves his city, and he's doing the will of the commission. And yes, it's tough. So to slight that any would be wrong. I love my little buddy.
Of course.
And you know what? At the end of the day, he knows we're going to work to make sure that we take care of our communities.
It's Sheriff Gordon Smith, of course, our special guest. The hot topic for the last couple of weeks has been, and if you want to use the word, disband of the Stark Police Department as of March 1st, 7:53 Eastern Time here. Want to go over some questions, just some comments here. Sheriff, as you thought that was a great explanation. I thought you really got into it really well, and you diversified everything that was going on with this thing. I assure you that was a tough decision that the mayor and the city commissioners had to make. Again, popular or unpopular, it is at the end of the day what it is. You now have to step up and go, look, hey, this is what we're going to keep doing for you. This is what's going to keep happening for you. And, people is just going to have to sit back and go, hey, look, they're going to have to buy into this. I like to use the word buy in. They're going to have to buy into this. Dave Ollinger, boy, I guess I got reamed on that one. She is talking about the AC and the heat going at the same time, different rooms, Mr. Rogers, and of course puts a little laughy face there. When Mrs. Bagwell don't have cake, Casey baked cakes. We have 4-layer red velvet cake, oh boy, and German chocolate cakes in the dessert cooler, along with homemade flutter, nutter fudge, and banana pudding. I know we're going to be at tomorrow. Let's see. Here we go. Whoa. Did we? No, we didn't lose nothing here, did we? Okay, here we go. We're back. Ain't we? We didn't lose anything, did we? Did you lose anything, Gordon? Man, I've only showed 12 here. I don't know what the heck's going on here.
I got 62.
You got 62 there?
Yeah.
I don't know what the heck happened here, Dave.
Slide it one way or the other.
I slid it one way or the other here. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Back at it. Oh, well, let's see here. I didn't get all of it here.
I see one on there, if I can answer real
Yeah,
quick.
go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, here we go. We're back. Here.
Judith Young, I seen hers. I don't have my eyeglasses on, so
Right.
I'm struggling here. I'm trying to keep it far enough away I can still read.
Absolutely.
Judith Young, in my opinion, the city found a loophole to rob us of our vote. City charter doesn't say anything about a police department, only a chief and a night watchman. Well, that's the reason I brought some of this.
Sure.
Looking under the
Sure.
charter, section 2, 114, under chapter 62, law enforcement says orders to the police. All orders to the chief of police and other police officers shall be given by the mayor to the chief of police. Thank you, Dave. When so required, the chief of police shall transmit any and all orders to the police officers. However, if the mayor shall refuse or neglect to transfer to the chief of police or other police officers any order required by the city commission, then the city may transmit the orders directly to the chief.
Right.
Police department generally is there. In that, chief of police, duties general, under section 6251, it shall be the duty of the chief of police to preserve the peace and to keep the good order of the city, to make direct arrest of all persons charged and the ordinance of the city who may violate. And it goes into what is authority, which we know that the charter reference, maintenance of the police department, election of chief of police by the voters of the city, subsection 6, term of office, subsection 7. It talks about the custody of city property. It goes into about that, and it talks about the salary of the chief of police there, which the chief of police shall be paid a base salary of $45,000 a year. It talks about the executive officer. The chief is one of the executive officers under doing things.
Right.
So it's there in reference to the police officer, and the police officer shall be appointed by the commission. So it does. I don't know about the loophole. It's always been there. It's something to be addressed. And Judith has been real active.
Yeah, she has. She has.
In regards to it. I understand, and the commission looked at their ways of doing it. Some of them, I don't know. They really held on to the police department. To be honest with you, I didn't know they'd do it the night that they did in regards to it. Didn't know, because I've seen it so many times in the past. We've had the same battles. So it went back and forth. Somebody said, that night when it blew up, I got called. Basically, they called for a deputy. When the deputy got called, when I got called to call a deputy, then the chief got on the radio and called for a deputy. I showed up. The vote was made, and then myself and the chief, I went and talked to him afterwards, and we were kind of sitting there saying, well, how do we move forward?
Right.
And he's been fine since then to move forward. It is right. Some people do want the right to vote for their police chief. I don't think anybody ever gives up their right to vote.
Nope.
In regards to it. But the fact of it is the city commission was being held responsible for the actions of the police officers, and they had to find a way, how do we feasibly cover this and get the same protections?
Right.
I think it came down to sheer economics, because they're looking at ways to cut. They've already cut the police department in half, the fire department in half. They're looking at ways for this infrastructure and without increasing taxes. I don't know what goes through their minds. I know every one of those commissioners. They're all friends of mine. I know the county commissioners. We all work, socialize together. We're in the same circles. It is tough decisions, and I'm glad I don't have to sit up there. Right. In reality, I didn't show up at the meeting, and they'll tell you why. I said, I'm not going to be pitted against the chief.
Right.
The last time it felt that way, and I said, decisions got to be made tonight, and I'm not. And then when I got called that they needed a deputy, me being the sheriff, I felt it was right duty. Myself knowing the chief, my love for him,
of course,
I got to get up, and it was all good. And we dispersed, and himself and him got together afterwards, and we talked and trying to figure out how we move forward, because it's never been done. It's been talked about. So here we are. We have merged communications over the years.
Right.
Our radio systems over the years. When him and I first started, the police department had a channel, county had a channel. They was always trying to patch back and forth and work these things. It's a consolidated communications center. In dispatching, it's a consolidated radio system. It's kind of progressed that way over the last 17, 18, 19 years to get to where we're at today. I don't think that any commissioner, in talking to me, had any personal vendetta to drive. It was all, how can we get it? How can we make sure our people that are deployed? And I can tell you this, that those 11 police officers, each individually got handed an application.
And that was what I was going to get to.
And 2 of them have been hired today.
Okay, so there's 2 of the 11.
And we still got to interview.
So we still got to interview more people. And, he talked about Chief Johnson. And I know Pumpkin for a long time, known you for a long time. I know a lot of those sheriff's officers, police officers. It's not only the love for Pumpkin and the chief, as we call him, but the other officers as well. You know their families, you know their people. So you're going to do everything that you can, I know, in your power, to get these men and women that are going to be, if you want to call it displaced right now, try to get them hired on or try to find them a job.
And Chief Johnson's doing that. Chief Johnson I talked to him today, has had the recruiter from Gainesville Police Department, the recruiter from the University of Florida. He's talked with Sheriff Michelle Cook in Clay County. She just took over the school system. Back to school policing. She's 30, 40 people in need of. There's a lot of positions out there. We're looking at a lot of the people that have already worked in the city, know the city. We've had today, like I say, we picked up one from the University of Florida. Want to come? They live in Stark. They want to come home.
Right.
We got another one with GPD that lives on Crystal Lake that says, "Hey, I'd love to come." There. These are people with clean backgrounds and are eligible to hire. We've already picked up. We got some more interviews to do with some city officers. We've given conditional officers a hire to 2 of them today. Going through that process, it's fast moving. We're inventorying. It's not an easy process. There's a lot of work and a lot of hours, staff time on his staff and our staff, and that was one of the main concerns of the 4 commissioners that spoke to me. 4 of their main concern was, what about the employees? They all got families, people to feed, those kind of things. And it's hard. It's uncertain. When you're uncertain, it's scary.
It is.
And we tried to ease that. Myself, Chief Johnson invited me that very next day. The very next day to come speak to his staff. We wanted to start from day one before it all started getting out there to get it done.
Anthony, I hope that answered your question a little bit. There is a process. They're trying to get some guys hired, trying to fill all the positions that they can. And if we can't fill them here in-house, when I mean in-house Bradford County, they're trying to reach out and go to, to go to some different areas and get these people employed. And I know that's his concern. I know that's Chief Johnson's concern. So I hope that answered your question there. Let's see. I thought the public was going to have their say, though, according to the prior meeting. Why did that change? Then that's coming from Candace Johnson. I think you sort of got into that a little bit.
I did. I think back then when we first brought it up, the chief asked for it to be put on the ballot, and they discussed that. Were we going to put it on the ballot or not? It's one of those things, what can we afford? Even if you voted yes. And here's the problem, and I'm just going to be blunt. You have a city election, you're lucky to get 23 to 25% of the voters even turn out to vote.
Well, then that's
so
part
what's
of
that
the
tell
problem.
you?
Yeah.
75% of the voters don't care what you do.
Don't care.
I've seen it on so many issues, whether it be alcohol sales on Sunday, whether it be, to do away with the city clerk. There's always comes down to a few handful of votes for the people that turn out on those issues. Anything like that to me should always be put on a general election ballot kind of deal. But I don't think it really came down to that. I don't think it's anything against the chief. I think it came down to how we're going to fund it and still get all these other projects done. And I think it's all monetarily financial and economics. I think that was the big driving force as I got into a lot of the meat of this, and whether it's true or not, the big issue was the first quarter he was already nearly $250,000 over budget. I didn't see it. I don't know. I can only tell what I'm being told. I have not seen that in black and white. And if you kept that pace, you were still going to be $1 million over the projected budget that he give. So, and it's hard. I mean, when he got to that budget, I'm looking at it. That was less than when I was there. I didn't know how he was going to do it. But he's a chief. He was trying to survive and take care of his people and still serve the city the way that it should be served. And it's tough when you don't have the ability, the finances to be able to do that.
Do you want to entertain that? that question there?
Said you took over Hampton because they were corrupt. Huge difference, sir.
I don't know if you want to address that.
I don't want to get in. Hampton had some issues. The state did step in. Hampton actually voted the police chief out.
Right.
They had an election. They voted the police chief's position out. There was a lot of things going on. The police chief in Hampton did not go to jail for corruption. There were some others that were entangled in some stuff and charged, but the police chief was not. Along those lines, the city, when you're talking about corruption, I don't think this has anything to do with corruption. Because I can promise Chief Johnson's not corrupt. I can promise that none of the commissioners that I know are corrupt.
Right.
I've never been charged with anything. I think it comes down to pure facts of what do we want? Do we want our streets, roads, infrastructure, bring more business? How do we do that? So they wound up cutting the budgets of the fire and police, and I'm not sure what else they cut. I wasn't involved in any of those things and how they did their budget. They get dinged every year for how much money they pull from your utility because the 4.5 millage taxes that are collected in the city did not cover just the police department by itself.
Right.
So they were having to pull these additional funds, which they get beat up with the auditors, and that's GASB, Government Accountability Standards, that get into it. It's a very complex system that they have to be when they get the state audits. Every year they're audited, they come in, they get a certain ding, and if you get the three same problems in a row, 3 years in a row, you got to go to the state auditor general. As you know, the city's been under that before.
Absolutely.
As well as the city of Hampton got under the auditor general, and it created a lot of problems. So they're trying to get out of that they had with the auditor general and fix some of those things.
Yeah,
I hope that answered Candace.
I hope that Candace. I hope
I'm
that.
not sure.
I think it should. I hope that was the answer she was looking for. I don't know.
And Candace, look, you're entitled to your own opinion, and I appreciate it. I really do.
Yeah.
But you're not entitled to your own facts.
Right.
So let's be fair. Everybody's gonna have their personal opinion, and we all got friends involved. Some of them same friends that are looking are my friends. That police chief happens to be a very dear friend of mine. So to run the whole county, let me rest assured to you, I didn't go asking. So let's be real clear on that. I think we both agree.
Okay, gotcha. Billy Rayberg, I don't know. I want to open up a Krispy Kreme, but not for. I just want to open up one, man. I just think, but people. Okay, we sort of went there. Shirley Bagwell's got a good question. She says, "I live in a city, Gordon. A few times I have been alone and become as I'm alone at night. Would the response be as quick?"
Oh, absolutely. Here's the same thing. You're still going to have the same two people in the city limits. So they're going to be assigned to those zones in the city, such as McClenny. In 1983, Baker County, the city of McClenny, 7,500 people. The city of Stark's a little less than 6,000 people. They did the same merger back in 1983, 40 years ago. They did the same thing.
Right.
When all this came up back last year, I went over and spent hours with the old city manager, Gerald Dobson. I went over and seen Sheriff Scotty Roden, spent hours with them. We sat down and we talked all the issues, what happened. He was there. He could tell me what they addressed. I said, "Ooh, I don't want to address some of the same things." So we took precautions when I did my first presentation. And that's the reason I came up with the price. And then he said, "Well, we didn't like it because the former sheriff would charge us one price this year. Next year came back." He said, "The best thing you can do is put it on millage." I thought was a good idea. That way I can't be negotiating this thing all the time and think that I'm strong-arming somebody. So we did the millage setting versus negotiating. Next year I need to have another $100,000 or $200,000, whatever it may be. Because then you kind of got the city held as a hostage. They want to keep the same coverage. Right. So, Ms. Shirley, I think what you're going to find out is because it's going to be streamlined, you're going to have the one supervisor that's going to say, "Hey, there's a call holding. This is backed up. Two are fighting a guy on the side of the road, or fighting a shoplifter at some store, the grocery store, whatever it may be. There's going to be somebody stepping up by call. And remember, every officer, I can pull up on this tablet and tell you where every patrol car is located.
Right. You were showing us that. Yeah, you were showing us that before the show.
You can see where they're at. So the supervisor can look and say, "Okay, he's closer." We want to be able to send the closest responding unit.
Right.
Whether they're assigned in the city or not. What most people don't understand is the city of Stark is the heartbeat of Bradford County.
Yes.
And in the heartbeat of Bradford County, everything we do traverses through the city.
Through the city.
If I'm working the north end and the deputy needs back up on Griffiths Loop, guess what he's doing? He's traversing through the city.
Right.
That's the reason we wind up answering so many calls sometimes inside the city is just mere location of us traversing through. The call comes out. We happen to be there because now everything's GPS and dispatch and go, "Car so-and-so, there's, I can tell you one time before they got in dispatch, we already had the robbery suspect in handcuffs.
Right.
By the time it went out, because he seen it pop up on his laptop, and he goes, "Oh, wait a minute, I'm at the red light." and was able to do that. That's just one small example. Happens all the time. No difference than in the city. If they're out there and a call come in at Griffiths Loop and they're sitting at the edge, hey, there's a fight call or somebody, they were able to respond and be there to give fast, immediate coverage. So yes, I think you're going to have as good or better coverage as you had in the past. If that answers your question, Ms. Shirley.
Candace Jones says, she said, let's talk about the cost, Sheriff. How much will it truly cost? Since you put a question mark there, what's it going to really cost?
$650,000.
Okay.
That's what it costs. That's the number we give. That's the number they approved. I can tell you that a couple of commissioners say, hey, if you need more, we want to make sure we got the same coverage. But we're still able to save, $1 million.
Right.
Chief Johnson 1.1, but it was over. So that's not for me. That was my argument.
Right.
I told you what it costs to give that same. The advantages we have, and I can just tell you, is basically that the communications is already set in place. The other key thing is the $135,000 the city was paid on top of that $1.1 million for communications is now gone. So the $650,000 cost, you subtract the $135,000 out of it.
Right.
So now you're down to
$230,000.
So that would be really the true cost because they're saving on another side they didn't see.
You're just giving them the top cost, right?
I'm giving you the top. That's our max.
That's
and
your
then
max.
each year, if the 2.5 mil next year brings in, $660,000, then we get the 600. It's going up to 2.5 mils. So they're saving the 2 mils that they can do whatever because they're going to get additional money on that.
Right.
With the walls and all coming, I project it's going to be more. I don't know.
I would think
With
so.
some other businesses coming, I would say, but I don't know what the economy is going to do. It can drop out, and next year it's only $600,000.
Well, and I'm glad you said that, Gordon, because let's look at the facts here. This is an election year. What truly happens in an election year, ladies and gentlemen, things tend to either level off, there's not a lot of construction going on, people are waiting to see what's going on, and things like that. So when there's a national election coming, it tends to, like I said, either sloughs off or it goes down. And again, we're in an election year right here. We don't know what's going to happen. I hope some good things come out of this election. We elect the right candidate, and let's proceed to bring America as a whole, the economy back up, and the way that we thrive, and the way that we live, and the way that we provide. And that's what we're looking for. And that falls down to what the sheriff was saying, down to the county level, down to the city level. It all filters down from that. So you got to keep that in mind as well. So Rick Stevens says PD consolidation, long overdue. I know he lives in the city. And that's your opinion, Rick. Candace says, unpopular for sure. Absolutely. Yeah, you can send the sheriff your glasses if you want to bring them by.
I need them.
J.P. Lee said, in the aspect of quality police services, I support the decision of BCSO taking over the city of Stone.
When you say taking over, we work it every day anyway.
Right.
In reality,
I
think merging. I call it more
assuming
merging.
responsibilities.
Because Chief Johnson's still going to be the chief. I'll be working with him every day.
Right. Assuming responsibility, or like you said, merging,
whatever term we want to use. I see
yeah.
Candace had another question I thought was interesting. What happens to the pensions of the police officers earned? Good question, because I'm in that pension.
Yeah.
I'm in that pension.
You're in that pension.
I draw a
plan.
pension
Yep.
from the city in regards to it. And what happens, there's three things that happen with the Stark pension. Not everybody's vested. Right now he's got one that's been there 11 years. So he would be vested.
Yep.
You got to have 10 years.
Yep.
There's one not quite 8 years that's there. They can get their money that they've paid in out. Most of them, the majority of the rest that are there, the 6 or 7, one or two have right at 2 years. The rest of them are less.
Yeah.
The rest of them are less than 1 year.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot. They're not vested in regards to that. Now, if you jump into the state retirement system, if you were in a government pension system, you can buy up to 5 years of your time.
Right.
Now, that would only account for the 1 or 2 that are there.
Right.
Because none of the others would have that.
Right.
So they're not what they call vested in the system.
Right.
Myself, Corporal Barry Warren, Chief Jeff Johnson, Kevin Mueller, that's a captain over the patrol for the county. Some of those people are vested in the retirement system. So 3 things happen. They can maintain the retirement system as it is. They'll send it to the actuary and say this pension is solvent. because they still get the 175, 185 money, which comes off your homeowner's insurance
Right.
or your automobile insurance. That still goes to the city. That money just gets reinvested. The same money they get now gets vested back into the retirement, and the auditor can say that's good for, it's solvent for the next 25 years.
Can I sort of, Gordon, compare it to, does it work like a 401k?
Similar.
Similar.
Because here's what happens.
Because there's similar qualities.
The
there.
number two thing they can do, the pension board can look at it and say what everybody that's vested is worth. Mm-hmm. They look at their pension funding that's there and say we can buy these annuities.
Right.
And then the state law says that you can buy an annuity that guarantees what my pension is worth, what Chief Johnson's pension is worth, because Chief Johnson's drawing a pension, from the city.
Yeah.
Corporal Barry Warren. And there's not that many that have been here as many years as we have.
Right.
Let's face it. Chief Johnson and I have probably been Chief Johnson's probably the longest member ever in the city pension. I was there for 10 years of it. In regards, Corporal Barry Warren probably has the second most years invested in the city. Who's retired now and he draws a pension. But they would look at the annuities and say, this is what it's worth. They can buy it with annuities, or the pension can look down and say, let us buy you out.
Right.
And they have to buy you out at what it's worth. I don't want to see anybody want to take their money because Uncle Sam won't get a big
chunk
30,
of
40%.
Sure,
of that.
sure, yeah.
So, but Ms. Candace, that's the three things that they can do by law with a pension. Matter of fact, Wednesday, Chief Johnson invited me over to have an emergency pension meeting to address what some of the pension board. Remember, on that pension board, you have 2 police officers, you have community members that sit there and look what's the best interest. I can tell you my interest, Chief Johnson's and Chief Barry's. If it's solvent for the next 25 years, we're going to leave it alone.
Oh, for sure.
And those people that are vested, when they reach a certain age, can draw that money. They want to draw theirs. So the city police pension is probably done better than the other 2 pensions in the city, which is the fireman and the general. So there's 3 pension funds within the city.
I found this on the web.
So those are the 3 things, Candace. I hope that answered your question.
Again, welcome in. If you're just now joining us, to On the Spot with David Rodgers, creator and host David Rodgers, right along with our producer and senior director, Mr. Dave Holland, better known as the Dancing Destroyer. Mr. Byron Bagwell cannot join us tonight live because he is filling a work commitment. I have Mr. Austin Stevens in the house tonight, and of course, our very own Mr. Mitchell Gunner on the Spot Motorsports media page. You can catch his show Thursday nights at 7 p.m. And then again, all the races and all the things that he's going to be doing on that page. Dave, he's going to be doing a lot of live streaming. Those numbers is going to do this, up and up with that particular page. Mitchell Gunner, great job that you're doing. It's 8:16 Eastern Time. Our special guest, Gordon Smith, talking about the Stark Police Department and the things that is going to happen to them and the things that his department's going to have to incur as well. There's been some great questions. I am glad that y'all have joined us. We've got a great audience. We're going to keep going here for just a little bit because I want to try to get all the questions answered. Shirley says, Sheriff, does the sheriff have a responsibility to the city commissioners?
Yes.
Okay.
And one is they're electors, citizens of the city of Bradford
Right.
County. Not only the city, none of these city commissioners are elected, but they're also residents of Bradford County. And I'm responsible to all the citizens. If you call me, you have a question, even we don't like each other.
Right.
I got to hold myself accountable.
Sure.
We have to answer, like on here, tough questions. We don't want to come live because there's been so much misinformation out there.
Right.
And Chief Johnson's not spreading it. I don't believe his staff are spreading. I think it's just the unknown and people. We all got friends and we're like, hey, I wanted my police department. I can tell you, running through 6 elections now, that issue I'm faced with every time I run. And somebody asked, isn't it the 2 officers they have on there now, in regards to it? Is that the same thing that's going through? So yes, it's a. They have 2 officers on duty. I'm looking at it right now. There's 2. That's what they standard have now,
Right.
and have had. So we look at that. They're not getting anything less as far as officers working.
Right.
Where I think you cut a lot of that is the upper command staff. We already have it, so we don't need it. And that's no slight of them because they've done a good job in keeping the city one of the safer cities in the state.
Yeah.
And I don't think any of the commissioners want to lose that. I seen Johnny saying about giving her. I don't know anything about them giving themselves raises. I don't know if that was it. I really don't know.
Well, but Patricia Baker says Bradford County is always going to be fine. We have the best first responders around, and I don't think we've always said that, even when you're not on this show, we've always said that. We've always heard a good thing about our first responders, whether it's the Stark Police Department right now at this time, whether it's the Bradford County Sheriff's Office, whether it's, our EMS services, whether it's our fire departments. They're very well trained. We've got good crews at each of these things, and y'all do a good job when it comes to responding to whatever it may be. Like you said earlier, fire, crash, robbery, whatever it may be. There's always good response, and I think that just comes from the building with you and Pumpkin and everybody getting together and saying, how can we make this better? You traveling to all these different places and things and hearing what these other sheriff's officers and chief of police and government officials are saying. And you've built this up now. You guys have built this up now to where it is one of the best first responder.
Still consistently one of the safest counties in the state.
In the state, right?
When you look at crime stats and numbers, Johnny says, how often are both county and city commissioners giving themselves raises while telling them, well, city can vote raises, the county commissioners can't. That's set by the state.
That's it, right.
So there's a separation there how county government, what they call constitutional officers, can do it. That's all set by the state and the legislature. Cities can do, I remember the city giving themselves a raise. It's been back, I don't know how many years ago, but I don't know if they did this year or not. I wasn't privy to that. Try to stay out of everybody else's politics and get
right, because you got your own to deal with. Right?
Mine's dealing with the safety and public safety and serving this community and fighting for my deputies and making sure that they're earning a living wage and trying to get things done. Is there a difference in salaries between the deputies and the city police officers? Yes, there's about a $12,000 difference on average.
Let's see. Will the Chiefs stuff? I have some good. We have some good city officers. I pray there is not a hiccup in their career. Just pray they'll all find their place in the county and stay close to home. That comes from Dave Holland, son there.
Yes.
And I think you addressed that.
We did, yes.
Yeah, for sure. GPD has so much more education requests than y'all, though. I'm not sure what Candace is trying to say there. She's trying to say that
they take experience. They take experience. I don't know about training.
Okay.
Training wise, we probably give more training than GPD. We just, matter of fact, hired one of their people that have came on with us today. Just the training that we have to have. If you're basic and want to go to work for them straight out of college, they have a college town. So a lot of those.
Right.
But I can tell you in the sheriff's office, there's many degreed employees that are at sheriff's office, and we pay for your degree. If you want to go to a state college, if you make a C or better, we pay for those classes in your books.
Wow.
That comes out of that money comes from the training money that comes off of traffic citations that are issued that we can use for training and education. It's mandatory 8 hours a month in Bradford County Sheriff's Office that they have to attend, and if you're a specialized unit, you have to have additional hours, and then they go to any training that they want to. School protection deputies. Ours, the only thing different with ours is we do a voice stress analysis, and we have to send for a psychological exam.
Right.
So they have to pass psychological and the voice stress analysis, known as the polygraph. It's just done with the computer now. We have certified people in that. So it's a different, and we have a lot of things there at the sheriff's office. Everything from courts, court security to transports, federal transportation, because we house federal inmates. Right. We have the jail, we have animal control, code enforcement, mapping, 911. There's a communications center. There's a lot of opportunities there, and that's the reason the chief had me meet with all his staff the very next day.
Right.
And say, we're here. We don't have something right here right now. We may move you here, but hey, the goal is to get back because they know the city. Right. They know how our computer systems work. They know the records management.
At the end of the day, you're trying to get everybody employed. You're trying to keep everybody employed. Like you said, they got families. They got to eat. They got to pay their rent. They got to pay their electric bill.
We wanted the opportunity was there for
them. And that's exactly right. Shirley says, what happened to the chief's position after the consolidation? Of course, it's an elected position. So he'll remain the chief of police, right?
He'll remain the chief of police.
He'll remain the chief of police. So there you go. Good night, Dwight Allen. God bless our sheriff in America. Absolutely, I agree with you. Hopefully it's eliminated and save taxpayers $105,000 per year. That's what Rick Stevens says. I guess, is he talking about getting rid of the police department?
Who's that?
And the Rick Stevens. Hopefully it's eliminated and saves taxpayers about $105,000 per year.
It would be more than that, actually.
It would be more than that. Yeah, I would.
Matter of fact, Chief Johnson just corrected me. The contract $625,000.
625,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good question, Sam Shee Allstott, and I'll ask Gordon this. I don't have Jerry Feltner on, but maybe we can get him on. She said, "Is Lottie next?"
No.
Okay, there you go. And that was a flat no.
That was. Let me explain. Nobody's addressed Lottie with me. I've not had any commissioners talk with me. I've not had anybody show any indication. I guess Lottie's pleased with their police department. He does a fine job up there. I guess, they're not in the same issues as the city of Stark, so it's a little bit different in how it's laid out. But the Chief Feltner and Lottie is an elected official as well, and that's up to his electors. I'm not sure how his charter's written. I'm not sure the police may work just for. I don't know how that charter's written.
Judith Young has got a great question. I don't know if you know the answer. This is probably coming from the commission, but you've probably seen it. She goes, "Why is there no money to run the city?" I don't know if you want to even tackle that or answer that.
Judith, it's running. I don't know. I'm not sure enough of the details she's wanting.
Right.
I mean,
I
it runs
think
every
why
day.
why
there's a street department, sewer department, there's a gas department, there's fire department, and they cut them back. I don't know about the other departments. I didn't get into their budget process, but they still have all those same functions. I know that they're looking at ways of creating more infrastructure.
Right.
I'm just guessing. You'd have to ask a commissioner, but I know when most of them talked to me, it was about the sheer number of getting the same protection but being able to save money.
I think at the city commissioners meeting, and I know they've got different topics, and they go, Robert Rules of Orders, all that good thing.
They're within budget. I know they met the state requirement.
So they were within budget. That was going to be my next question.
I don't think they've been dinged. I haven't looked at their audit. I've not seen anything in the Bradford County Telegraph.
And maybe she's talking about an abundance of money or extra money to try to keep the police department intact. I'm assuming that's what she's saying. If you're saying they're within budget,
they're within budget, but I think what they keep getting dinged about is pulling from the utility because the millage wasn't covering the cost. So the light bear by fuss about utilities and that kind of stuff.
Right.
They're pulling a lot of the profit, which got Gainesville. You've seen just hit Gainesville. That's been a big issue.
Right.
The same thing here.
Yeah.
They don't want that, so they're trying to manage and keep within those what their budget is and still be able to provide the same services.
Right. It's 8:26 Eastern Time. Again, you're on the spot with David Rodgers talking about the big topic, the Stark Police Department. We have our special guest, Sheriff Gordon Smith, with us and explaining and trying to hopefully answer all your questions in regards to why this happened, why this needed to happen. I thought he's done a good job so far. Your questions have been great. Really appreciate you getting into this with us. Again, Dave Holland producing the show and directing the show, known as A Dancer Destroyer. We had Austin Stevens, which we'll bring back here in just a little bit. I'm your host, David Rodgers. No Byron Bagwell tonight due to a work commitment, but he will be back hopefully next week. Great question, Candace, and I hear you. And again, Sheriff told you, hey, you're entitled to your opinion. So, again, if you don't agree, that's fine. Hey, we tend to agree to disagree. So, hey, look, that's what's so great about this country.
Is. And I think she's got legit. I mean,
she's got some legit. Yes, she does.
There's nothing wrong with
No, absolutely not.
And they do have, but they do take experience because we know we've had officers go to GPD. We've had, those kind of things. They show those up front, but then they give you these military if you had military prior so many credit hours, there's a lot of different things there.
Let's see here. Billy Rayberg, real quick, as we're going to try to level off the show here a little bit. Are you going to take over the building there now, make it an outpost or something, he said?
No, sir.
Okay.
And the outpost days are kind of gone because really the cars have become their office.
Yep.
If I stopped you today in my truck, I couldn't even write you a ticket. Everything's computerized. It's you scan the card. It's kind of like you do when you go to the grocery store. It prints out. The radio's there. They all have cell phones, so you ain't got to go to... Back when I started, we had to find a payphone.
Right. Of course.
I always kept the ashtray full of quarters and dimes because different parts of the county was long distance. If I went to Keystone, it was long distance. I went to Brooker, it was long distance. Dropping it, dating myself, but that's how.
No, you're right. Yeah, I remember
when the sheriff came on and finally got us an 800 number we could dial into dispatch. But back then we had one dispatcher.
Remember the rotary phone? There were some old payphones with the rotary and then the touch. And I remember that. I'm giving away my age too.
But you don't need the stations anymore.
No.
Basically, They can park
No.
when you see them sitting a lot of times, they're just sitting there typing a report from a case, and they try to set out and be visible.
Right. Not only you're going to have the 2 deputies in the city, the sheriff's office is in the city. I'm sure if there's a high priority call, the staff in the office will respond as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Bam, bam.
Do it all the
Come to
time.
JBI, do it all the
We do
time.
it all the time.
Candace, I hear you. A call holding, hilarious, 1 responder down. That's still to be seen. Anyway, here we go.
That's they're going to have the same amount they have now. The difference is now, when there was a call holding in the city, a deputy responded and answered.
Right.
So that kept response times down, because if there's a call holding, we try to jump it and take care of it, because the city residents or county residents, it's no different. The police officers and the deputies every day take the politics out of it, take the politicians out of it. They work with each other each and every day, backing up, handling calls. I can tell you what the last shooting we had in Lodi, every unit they had there, it was, guy came out shooting with AR-15, and those are rare occasions.
Yeah.
But it happens, but people come from all around to address the dangers that may be there at that time. No difference in the city when there's a shooting or an incident takes place. You get large crowds. Deputies have to respond, and we have to assist with the police department. It's always been that way. And our goal is to make sure that it stays seamlessly as it has always been, in that nature.
Yeah, Shirley says, thank you, Gordon, just to make sure I can get help if needed. Absolutely, you will, for sure. Let's see. DA Dennis Cruz says, wow, 2 cops are taking over the city limits.
I'm not sure what he's meaning.
I'm not sure what it's meaning
that's what
there.
I pulled it up to show right now. Currently, there's 2 sitting in the city of Stark. That you can see it on the thing. So that's the kind of thing that's no different than what takes place now. And that's what the commission, the city commission, wanted to assure, is that they're getting the same service that they get now. That's the reason they agreed to the price increase instead of what I could have done it for.
Right.
Which could have potentially led to some of these issues that have come up. But they wanted to address and make sure we want the same thing we've got now.
Cindy Collins Hart said, maybe with the money they are saving, they can work on those ball fields. And that's some of the things that you alluded to, some of these other services that, this budget has to cover. And again, now that would be up to the commissioners and what they want to put the money to those
projects. If they
projects.
save it, it's where they move it. And I'm not.
Right. You're not involved with that.
That's not what I'm involved in. They have to make those decisions, whether it be roads, parks. I'm gonna be honest with you. I miss the rec department. Chief Johnson and I grew up on that city rec. That was part of our livelihood.
Yeah.
The city kind of controlled all that for all my life. In regards to it, Miss Canova and Alicia McMillan, they kept that going.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I got grandkids.
Sure.
That rec's important to me. They all play ball.
I'm just going to say they play. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Yeah.
Now Sheila Stewart. Oh, okay. She said, "Isn't that what?" I think you answered this. What is there on duty normally in the city is 2?
Yes.
Okay, which is the answer is yes. Rick Stevens says, "Thank you, Sheriff Gordon Smith, for stepping up to the plate and saving the taxpayers' money while providing better service, not taking away anything from Start PD, but it is what it is." Well, I think you sort of answered all that.
It is, and y'all, this ain't an easy transition. I'm hoping that 2 months down the road, people say, "Well, it wasn't this big boogeyman we might have thought in our head that we move forward." Chief Johnson and I can assure you, are working diligently to make sure that does not happen. He loves the city. He's going to be right there watching. He's still the chief of police. We're going to get through it. He has worked hard to make sure his men and women are taken care of from the get-go. It's just a matter of the green stripe on the car and a green uniform and where to get their check from.
I would think that the community, whether the city or the county, as long as there's an officer there when we need it, that's their concern.
And I think that's what Rick was saying. At the end of the day, it is what it is. The coverage is still going to be there. Like he said, is it going to be blue and white or is it going to be green? And
it's like
it doesn't matter.
When
really.
you're calling for help, I don't think you care what color the uniform is.
No.
Exactly.
And it never has mattered in the county.
Right.
Because we do it each and every day. It's no different if I call for help and I need help. I'm getting old. In regards to it, do you care if it's a fireman that shows up because he's going to be first aid trained, or a paramedic? You want somebody to help, and that's kind of where we're at. And at the end of the day, let's be honest with you. There's a lot of things me and my wife don't agree on, but we still sleep in the same bed every night because of the love we have for each other. And it's no different with myself and Chief Johnson for the love that we have for our community.
How many officers do you employ?
Right now, there's 42 road deputies that are there. We have
That's to cover a 24-hour shift now.
Yeah,
that's
24-hour
24-hour
shifts.
shifts.
We got 30-some correctional staff. There's 111 total employees. We'll be adding 7 more to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, along the lines. So but we do everything. That's the jail. That's the courthouse. That's transport. That's animal control, code enforcement, mapping, 911. We just and what we stress to everybody we hire is to say this is not my job. We try to find ours is solving problems. It's not just putting people in jail. You know, and we're in the people business. So some people may say, "Well, you did this to me one time," or so. They take that one incident and make it like it's well, look, we're not perfect. We do make mistakes, and I have to fish through those each and every day to see what was it a mistake, misunderstanding, the officer was rude, and then you put the perspectives on everything. So it's a full-time job.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. Johnny Waterson said, which I would have the same question, Sheriff, and I think he says, how often are both county and city commissioners giving themselves raises while telling the people that most decisions are based on funding? And he's got a great point there, Sheriff. I don't know how you want to answer that, or if you want to answer that.
Yeah, county commissioners' salaries are set by the state. They can't vote. They can't give themselves a raise.
Right.
I can remember one time years ago that the city commission voted to give themselves a raise. I don't keep up with that. In regards, I don't know if they have recently. I don't know. I know they have in the past. When I was police chief, they did one time to bring it up. But I don't know if they do that I don't think they do. I really don't think. Because they don't get paid nearly what a county commissioner makes in regards to it. But those are set by your populations and what the state sets at those rates. They can't give me a raise if I wanted it. They can't give themselves a raise.
Correct.
That has to come from the legislature.
Right. Okay. I hope that answered your question there. CNN projects Trump wins New Hampshire GOP primary. We're just talking about the general election coming up this year. Hey, and this is going to make a big difference on the way that the economy of the United States of America is going to go. And like he was saying, and I was saying, all that just filters down to the state level and then to the county levels and the city levels. So, if we get somebody in there, Donald Trump, whoever the case may be, and turns this thing around and starts to get the economy back up, well, yeah, everybody's going to thrive because we're going to have plenty of work. We're going to have things that we need to get done. So, absolutely. Let's see. Cindy Collins says, good job as always, Gordon. You always make us proud. D.A. Dennis Cruz, Bradford County wants to save money, so park cars and trucks on yard, drive your own ride to work. I see Bradford County cars parked in other counties. Yeah. Assuming he's talking about.
Yeah, we do. We have a policy. Basically, it's been that way since I got there. If they live within 15 miles of the county, they do have a take-home car. That's part of their benefit package. As every county does. If you come up to the sheriff's office, you'll see Gainesville Police Department cars, City of Green Cove cars parked. They have to park at a government facility as part of their policy, but they work there. That's part of their benefit package, and it's still more beneficial than having a 24-hour hot seat. We went through that process, and they found it to be more efficient. But that is part of the package of their benefits.
Eddie Simmons got a good question. Well, if we are doing away with the city police, why can't we do away with the city commissioners and just have it all under the county? That's a tough question, and I know
they're a home rule, self-govern. That would take a majority vote of the electors. So you'd have to have the right turnout. You'd have to write petition, get so many people to sign a petition. I don't know if it's been done in our state or not, but it's a process. Because I remember years ago there was somebody hot on the trail, and when they realized what it took. It kind of that's been 25 years ago probably in regards to it, but city has home rule power. They created their own charter, their own city. That's incorporated in state legislature when they created it, just like counties. As you've seen over in Alachua County, they've been trying to create another county for
correct
11, 12 years now. Still hadn't got
Spring County, is that what it was? Spring County,
They're still trying to do that 11, 12 years later. It's not an easy process.
Right.
And then people still want their utilities. So if you disband it, who operates the utilities? And
that's what I mean, that's a legitimate question. I get it. Sorry about that, brother.
No.
So Ellen Disher Williams, and I'm going to go ahead and answer yes to this, Gordon. You tell me if I answered it wrong. Ellen Disher Williams said, will you pick up Start PD old cases still unresolved?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, okay, so I answered it right. Okay.
People don't know, back when the city got cut, the chief and I sat down and our people, any major investigation, we were responding to and taking over the case anyway.
Yeah.
Moved it to our investigations. He lost some of his senior investigators. We was able to get a couple of them. And over the years, if there's a major case, we were involved anyway. We just have several more investigators and equipment and things that we can do it with. So we've always been there. And then in the recent past, we started taking over some of their major investigations just to release some of that pressure. He was down to 11 officers.
There you go. Billy Rayberg's got a great idea, and I think you've seen it. Billy Rayberg says, deputize some of the firefighters of the county. You got a bunch of them, and they can help out with backup.
Oh, absolutely.
So cross-train a little bit.
That's
what do you
it.
think? Is that something that
Yeah.
you're working?
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that goes on already. There's
Okay.
special deputies, and
Yep.
we have an old entourage of that that goes through. But we do a lot of things because we are small.
Yep.
We're big enough to serve you, still small enough to care.
Right.
And we have to do things that other agencies. We're full service. So a lot of big counties, like Jacksonville or Clay or Alachua, they're call takers. They
Yep.
respond to calls. If it's over a certain amount, it automatically goes to investigations. Our deputies have to do a lot of the investigation up front before it gets to move to investigation. They have all these specialty units. We don't have all those. So deputies here have to be well-rounded and take on a lot of things that would be specialized in bigger agencies. They're more than just call takers.
Right.
In big cities, when you call for fire, you call in for police, then it gets shipped in seconds. Our dispatchers are taking everything at the same time as they're typing it, and it's going out into the mobiles in
Right.
the patrol car so they can see as dispatchers typing, and I go, oh, there's an issue going on, and they can respond. That's the difference in being able to, they're not just call takers, they're actually deputy sheriffs. They have to answer to a multitude of things, and our call center, our communication center, they're handling it live. They don't have 2 or 3 different people handling it. They handle it all right there, radio and all that at the same time.
I like that cross-training thing, too. I think you're on to something there, Sheriff. Ellen Disher-Williams said the sheriff has this 100%. I'm sure. Thank you for that, Ellen. Shirley Bagwell says, thank you for always taking care of us. Cake or not, she said.
That's it.
That's all
Sure
right.
like to have one of them cakes.
Yeah, me too. Will the chief be responsible to you or the mayor?
The chief is elected, but according to the charter, it says he still answers to the orders of the mayor. And if the mayor doesn't do it, then it's the order. It's just, it's archaic, y'all. I don't understand that. Amendment 10 took care of that in Volusia County when they had a charter county down there. Several years ago, the people voted. Miami goes back this year to the elected sheriff in Miami. So Amendment 10 corrected that. He came out from under the county manager because of the charter, it was an
Right.
elected sheriff, but he was taking his orders under the county manager who prepared and did everything. It was a little bit different. One of the only of the 67 counties, it was one of 2 that were different than any place else in the state.
Shirley says, don't have your personal number, but if I was alone and needed help, I know you would come. Thank you very much for all your services. D.A. Dennis Cruz, Johnny Wooderson, we will never know. And I know he was talking about giving themselves raises. Now, you explain what the difference between the city and the county was. County can give themselves raises. That comes through from the state. The city commissioners, I'm assuming if it's within their budget and they want to do it, I guess they could give themselves raises.
They could.
Now, I don't know when the last time they got a raise, Gordon. I can't answer that for D.A. Dennis Cruz. I wish I could. I don't know when that's last happened. That's something that you would have to ask the mayor or the city commissioners. And hopefully they will be honest with him and said, hey, I gave myself a raise 6 months ago. And I think that's what people in this, in this whole county, the residents of Stark and Bradford County want. They just want the truth. Hey, they may not like it, but they want the truth. And I think, the truth goes a long way. I know you've preached that. Hey, tell the truth, tell what you know, explain what you can, and don't hide nothing. And I think that's what
It'll bite
people
you every
sometimes,
time.
it does. Going to be shorter response time on any call in the city or county at all. Patrick Henry, he says no. And him and Pumpkin say no, there's not going to be shorter response time.
No.
There's still going to be 2 deputies within the city limits. You still got the Stark Fire Department still right here.
Yep.
So your fires, anybody that's in trouble, wrecks or anything, that response time is still going to be there. And we still have EMS right there. So I don't think that you're going to falter any there. It's the same thing. Like he said, what color uniform is providing the service? It doesn't matter. There's still going to be 2 people there. And again, the chief of police is still going to be in his spot. So,
Oh, yeah, and let me tell you, anybody that believes there won't be a hiccup or two along in this transition, I'm praying there's not. But in reality, I'm sure we'll have a hiccup or two to work out the kinks. And that's what myself and the chief are there for. That's what he got from the commission.
Yeah.
I can promise you, it's as important to him today as it was yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
So I have full faith in him. We'll get through the hiccups. We're trying to do this transition and how you start hiring and putting people on the road and answering calls. So it's not like flipping a switch and say, oh, now we take over. Well, he's going to have people leaving. We're going to have to fill in those spots. We've already brought down our swing officers to make sure they're filling in spots to start answering some of those calls. So this transition goes without most people ever recognizing that it's even taking place.
Right. Patrick Henry, I hope that answered your question. I hope you feel a little bit better about that. Cindy Lane said, what is wrong with trying this and seeing if it works? And sure, if it doesn't, Gordon will put something else in place. Absolutely. He just told you that. If this doesn't work, we'll have to go drawing board.
Absolutely.
To go to the drawing board. Mitchell Gunner said, breaking news, Donald Trump dominates, which we knew in New Hampshire, so he beat Nikki Haley pretty good. So Trump is starting to make his ascent. I have complete faith in the sheriff. I think you all do. The dispatchers are amazing. He does have some great dispatchers, no doubt about it. Rayno says, good evening to my Bradford County friends. I sure miss the small town feeling. Things here in Pasco County are sure different. I'm sure it is. I hope you're all doing well. Keep up the great work, Gordon. David, great program, brother. Thank you very much. It's a family affair. We all do this together, and we try to bring you the best product that we can. And anytime we have this guy on here, y'all, he's got a lot of information that he can give out and that y'all want to hear, and it really makes for a great show. So thank you, Rayno, for those nice comments.
So, Gordon, if I could, what's going to happen with all the city cars and the equipment and communication
Good question.
devices?
Yeah, in that contract we wrote, it says that they're transferring 8 cars, which now we still got to take them and outfit them different because their cars. Remember, they didn't have mobiles. When I say mobiles, that's the in-car radio.
Right.
They all had portables because of the radius they had. They really didn't, and those things are expensive.
Wow.
8 cars, all the equipment, because they really have nothing to do with that. The guns, we'll train to get the guns we need that we use that are all the same weapon. They use 40s, we use 9s. Doing that, all the where they do their body cams, they don't use the same body cam we do. We'll get their server, so I have access to that. Chief Johnson was reminding me of that, I think just today or yesterday. Hey, we got to get to see have access. Their public records request will be forwarded over to our lady that does public records to get that, so reports can still maintain and do that. So a lot of that stuff will come to us. The rest of it, of the 20-some cars, that goes back to the city. They can use it in the city, surplus it. There'll be a lot of stuff that goes back to them. Our biggest thing, and Chief Johnson and I scratch our head, is the evidence. They're showing about 8,000 pieces of evidence, and all that's got to be gone through. Wow. So we've contacted FDLE. They have a team that does that. They'll come down and conduct their survey of what they have to have, how many people, and they've got a system. They use a still write-in system. We use a barcode system, so it tracks every time it moves. Yeah. It's a little different than theirs. But a lot of that is old cases and stuff that can be disposed of. We'll take the old homicides, still homicides under investigation, sex crimes, major robbery that's still pending, and we'll move those into our evidence room.
Yep.
So we've been cleaning out, and we've had a couple disposals to make sure we had room. We do have a big evidence area, state of the art. So, and we have an evidence custodian and a crime scene tech that will work through that. But it's still a lot of work.
A lot of work.
A lot of data entered, because you got to take their case number and it's got to be merged to a new case number. There's a lot of work that goes in that's complicated, way beyond my knowledge, I promise you. So that's all got to be done. That's the reason we're keeping the building a little longer. I don't know what the city's going to do with the building. Have no idea. I can tell you that Chief Johnson and really, we went in there, the nice facility. It's the city's. I'm sure we'll use it for something. I don't know. Maybe it's I don't know. Maybe a new city hall. I don't have a clue what they may do with it. I don't think it's beginning for a city hall, but it served me well as a chief. It served Chief Johnson. Him and I worked in an old box where Beef O'Brady's is at. We worked in an old Votech wooden building that I think the chief, when they tore the building down, might have got some of the rafters out to build some of the barn. You know what I'm saying? It was built by the vocational people, and that's what we first started at. So we've seen it come a long ways. But the facility he's got is not bad. It's got a new roof, and it really looks nice.
You know, Johnny Waterson said, you know, and I just said that, and I think Gordon believes in it too. Yeah, amen on the truth. Yeah, I think the citizens of Bradford County, like I said, whether it's good news, whether it's bad news, whether it's in between, they just want the truth.
Yeah,
they just want to know. And you know, how do they know somebody's telling the truth? Well, you've got to believe it in your heart. You got to believe it in your mind that they're coming across to you with the right information. You know what I'm saying? And that is the truth. Do we get the truth all the time? No, we don't. You know, I think some of it's sugar-coated. I think some, you know, they try to play it off. But I think for the most part, I think everybody is truthful on whatever that particular situation is. I want to believe that. Yeah. You know, but we'll see. Thank you, Miss Shirley. It's been a great show. I'm sure Byron would have been loved to have been there. Absolutely. I know he'd have had a great time with us. Ellen Disher Williams said, dang right, David. Truth always. Cindy Body, thank you for joining us. Use the building for the recreation department. That may be.
I love our rec. If we had a full time, you know.
It's right there next door.
Cindy Lane said, I see Bradford County, Bradford growing and becoming a town you don't want to come and do crime, and let's keep the streets safe for everybody. And with Gordon Smith on your side, you can't go wrong. And as Gordon said, it's just not him, it's his whole department. And the Stark Police Department, it's everybody working as one to make sure that gets done. Mark Goody said, did you say one city commissioner did not make the meeting to vote to dissolve the city police department? Was it on the city commissioner's meeting agenda? And if so, do you know who, or do you want to say, or what district this commissioner's in? Just ask.
It was on the agenda. All 5 commissioners were there on the night they voted 4-1 to merge the police department.
Yeah.
Back I guess when I got contacted, I guess it was a 3-1 vote because one of the commissioners wasn't there. But they voted 3-1 to have me send over what it would cost. So that's what I did. That's when I actually sent a price and sent it over for the cost in regards to it, to, you know, what it would take. And their concern was, well, we know what you said you'd do it for. Well, yeah, more than double, but they wanted that extra person to make sure they got the same coverage that they've always had. That increased in regards to it. So.
James Slater said, hey, Gordon, let me know when you are back out this way at the Epic. Thank you for sitting down and speaking. Lisa Moody Tomlinson said, hey, guys from Tennessee. Always wants to know what's going back in our hometown. And Mark Moody gave you the thumbs up and said that was a great answer. So,
last week it was cold in Tennessee.
Very cold. You can get it. Yeah, very cold. And it's 8:51. We're going to start wrapping up the show here real quick. I want to first thank Gordon Smith for coming on. Hope he answered your questions. Every one of them that came across, I thought they were all great questions. I thought it was a great show. I thought it was a great format. I thought there was a lot of information given out, not only by the sheriff, but through the questions that came through Gordon that you were able to answer. Also, I want to thank Dave Holland for producing and directing the show. Byron Bagwell, I'm sorry you missed this one. You can go back and watch it for sure, no doubt about it. But we're going to wrap up the show here real quick before I let Gordon go. Austin, give us some weather here, and then we're going to go ahead and start wrapping up the show.
All right, well, I'll give you all the 5-day forecast for Bradford County and surrounding areas. Tonight,
okay.
You can expect lower 60s, cloudy skies, of course, as it was throughout the day. Tomorrow, more sunshine, but still partly cloudy. Highs in the lower 80s for Gordon's duck hunting.
I'll be ducking, all right.
It'll be ducking.
All right, well, then the lows in the mid-60s with some patchy fog tomorrow night. Thursday, a 20% chance of showers and isolated thunderstorms possible. Highs in the lower, possibly mid-80s. And then lows in the mid-60s. And then a slight chance of showers with some thunderstorms, 30% on Friday as we get a cold front start coming through. That will lead you with highs in the lower 80s again. By then, you're going to have to need the air conditioner on. But hey, wait for that. Next weekend, we got a cold front coming through. Highs only in the lower 70s Saturday, maybe upper 60s Sunday. Stay tuned.
All right. Thank you, Austin, for bringing that weather report. You can catch all the weather reports on Austin's Weather Service. Just friend him. or if you just want to go in there and look,
Just follow the
hey,
page.
just follow the page, as he said, and he will be more than glad to give you
We checked
that weather.
We tracked that winter outbreak. We knew about it literally a month prior.
So there you go. So Austin's all over it. Thank you, Austin, for that weather
Appreciate it.
report. Appreciate it. Dave, any closing comments or anything that you want to tell the audience here? It's been a great show, hasn't it? I thought it was very informative. I thought everything went really well. I want to thank again Gordon for coming on and being with us, and we'll have him on again. So, anything?
No, I'm
particular?
fine tonight. Everything is going good.
Yep. Gordon, real quick, I know there's some God Bless America in the Sheriff's Department. Amen. So, do you want to tell everybody how they can get a hold of you if they've got a question that they want answered? And I know you read all your emails and texts, because I know when I hit you up, you always text me back or email me back. So, you want to tell people how they can get a hold of you?
Always. They can always reach me by contacting the sheriff's office. You can contact me on my cell. A text usually works well at 352-494-3328. That's my personal cell. Once again, 352-494-3328. The sheriff's office, you call in the main direct line. They'll get you in contact with me. If not, I get text messages that say so-and-so wants you to call them back. That's how we keep a record. We track all that to make sure I call people back, because you get between 15 and 30 phone calls a day or messages. It gets busy, but you can also email me at Gordon, Gordon _Smith at BradfordSheriff.org. That comes right to my work email. It goes on my phone as well. If there's a question I can ask, y'all, if I don't know, I'm going to tell you I don't know, we'll go look for it.
Oh, absolutely. That's what we
We'll
say.
look for it. If you want to find out any of the codes that I was talking about tonight that you see me bring in with you, it talks about how that's laid out with the city. You can go to Municode, MUNICODE, Municode.com. It covers the entire United States. You'll look at that big map, click on Florida, it'll link you. Not every city and all does, but Stark and Bradford County both subscribe to Municode.
Good.
It gives you your minutes of meetings. It gives you your ordinances. It gives you your the original founding documents of the
Sure.
city of Stark. That's in their documents. It's all there. So that's where I pull it from. That's where policemen pull it from. If you're violating an ordinance, it tells you your codes. It tells you how they've set ordinances in place for certain things. But you can go over there and also link, and you'll see the minutes of their meetings. They've been putting them in there for years now. And not just those meetings, you can see pension board meeting minutes. That is all in Municode.com, and see exactly what I was expressing to you tonight, how that works. It is very confusing at places. I still scratch my head, and I read them every day. State laws and ordinances, and every city's different. It is a chartered city, municipality within the state of Florida. So remember, you got charter, which are the founding kind of documents like our Constitution,
Right.
that lays all that in there, and then it's ordinances. An ordinance kind of does your day-to-day government. An ordinance this year may change next year for buying natural gas. It may change that we only want, this street paved, and we're only not going to allow this, curfews, whatever it may be. That's all done by ordinance,
Right.
and it's got to be checked. And as the laws change, some of those come on and go off the books.
And again, Gordon, I want to thank you for coming on. Look, man, taking time out. I know you loved being on here with us. Maybe we can get you on
absolutely,
here
brother.
here within the next few weeks. We'll talk some
Give
more
an update.
things.
Let's give an update.
Yeah, absolutely. And we can do that.
Or we can talk Chief Johnson into coming on here with us.
Yeah, I would love to get him on. Absolutely. And both of you, I think that would be a great show. Lisa Moody Thomas has said, great show, very informative. Thank you, Lisa. We really appreciate it. James, thank you for those nice comments. Thank you, David, and your folks for putting this on. Absolutely. Wouldn't have had it no other way. Got to give it up to Gordon because he reached out to me. Really wasn't thinking about it, really. I was wondering what we was going to do for this show. He said, hey, man, why don't we talk about the hot topic that was going on in Bradford County the last couple of weeks? And this was it. And I hope that everything that he said, your questions got answered. Again, he told you where you can go if you have another question or anything that comes to mind. You can reach out to him. And also you can reach out to us. Hey, you can contact me on my messenger. You can contact me by text, 904-966-1633. You can hit me on Facebook. Whatever the case, on the spot, 32091@gmail.com. That is our Gmail. On the spot, 32091@gmail.com. And yes, it does exist, Austin.
I forgot it actually was
Yeah, there you go. You need to be more in tune. So there you go. You're good. But anyway, want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank the great audience. Look, if you're looking for anything, send us a topic. Send us anything that you want to talk about. Hey, we'll be more than glad to do it. Me and Dave and Byron are always checking these emails. So is Mitchell Gunner, by the way, on the Spot Motorsports Media, Thursday nights at 7 o'clock. And, of course, he's going to be live streaming races. If you're a motorsports enthusiast, you need to get on there and watch that show because Mitchell Gunner and his staff do a great show. Yes, it is our sister page. We're all entwined. But, hey, at the end of the day, Mitchell keeps his eye on that page more than we do. But does a great job, David.
Yes.
And really, really commend him. So, again, thank you for tuning in, everybody that came on and watched the show tonight. Again, if you want to know anything that's happening in Bradford County, tune in on Tuesday nights on the Spot with David Rodgers. Start at 7 p.m. sharp on Tuesday nights. Glad to have all you on board. Please share this show. Please share it to your friends. If your friends wasn't on here because they had something going on or whatever, man, it was very informative. Yeah, follow it on Facebook. It'll be on YouTube tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Hey, look here. So you got two places you can go get this.
Hit the like and subscribe, baby. Hit the like and subscribe.
Cindy Lane said, I'm here if you need volunteers for anything, Sheriff. And Jason Dodd said, y'all have kept me up past my bedtime with this stuff. Well, I'm glad you stayed up, man. I really appreciate it. It's past our bedtimes, too. On behalf of my special guest, Sheriff Gordon Smith, the not present Byron Bagwell, but I know he was tuning in and listening, Mr. Dave Holland, the Dancing Destroyer, Austin Stevens, and myself, David Rodgers. God bless you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next Tuesday night with another topic and another show for all of you. God bless you guys. Have a great night.
Good night.